Good afternoon, folks, and a warm welcome on this cold winter's day to our ICAS webinar, Meet Your Match with the ICAS Mentoring Programme. My name is Bernard Dunn, and out with my day job, I sit on the Scotland West Member Area Network at ICAS. I have the pleasure of being your webinar host this afternoon. We are all delighted that we have 135 people registered to take part in today's webinar. Thank you so much for your support to the ICAS team and for taking the time to join us. Our event this afternoon will last 1 hour, covering information on how to get involved with the ICAS mentoring programme to become either a mentor or a mentee. So before we begin, just a few housekeeping guidelines to remind you of. Firstly, you can submit questions at any time through the Q&A facility, which can be accessed at the top of your screen. Questions can be submitted anonymously if you wish. We will be saving your questions until the end of the panel session for the live Q&A section. Please also join the conversation today through the chat box, which is accessed also at the top of your screen. This allows you to comment or discuss with fellow attendees on matters covered by the webinar. We're recording this webinar and we'll make it available for on-demand viewing afterwards in case you want to refer back to it or indeed share it with others. The slides will be available on the events page on the ICAS website under the event listing, and remember also that icas.com/events gives information on future ICAS events coming up, both in person and online. Everyone on the webinar is automatically muted, so whether you're at home, whether you're in the gym, whether you're up the Eiffel Tower, don't be concerned about any background noise because we won't hear it. We look forward to receiving your questions throughout the course of the webinar, and we'll try and get to as many of them as we can. And so, to get us going, I'm delighted to be joined this afternoon by our speakers, Rebecca Berry, owner of Berry Accounting, Graham Little, business and executive coach of Lateral Might Coaching, Chris Murray, director and founding partner of PLD Mentoring, and David Parker, finance business partner of Homes England. And before we start today's panel session, I'll now hand over to Chris, who will give a brief overview of the PLD mentoring platform. And Chris, we very much look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thanks, Bernard. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar. So I'm going to just give a 5-minute intro into the mentoring program. So the ICAS mentoring program, firstly, in terms of good news, it is a member benefit. So it is a benefit for all members of ICAS. And you can join the platform, which is supported by software. So you'll join the platform, the mentoring platform, as a mentee, a mentor, or you can be both roles on the platform. You'll see when you join as an ICAS mentee, you can search the platform for ICAS mentors who'll be able to help you with your career development, career questions, career mentoring. In terms of a couple of facts and figures about the program. So the program was launched in February 2022. Currently 340 people are registered on the platform. Of those 340, 224 are mentees and 168 are mentors. We currently have 80 live mentoring relationships on the platform. When you join the platform as a mentee and a mentor, you'll see you have the ability to make choices around the types of mentoring support. You request lots of different areas covered, 14 industry sectors, a real wide range of industry positions and job roles are also covered. So in terms of the benefits of mentoring, there are a whole host of benefits to mentoring, and lots of benefits for mentees, mentors, but also the organisations you're based in. Lots of different studies have been conducted on mentoring in terms of its benefits around increased confidence, improved mental health, improved employability, improved chance of promotion. Now, as a mentee on the program, you'll be able to, from the mentors you connect with, you'll be able to receive independent advice about your career and development. So there will be mentors on the platform with a wealth of experience who'll be able to explain the different types of career routes that are available to you. They'll be able to help, and there are tools on the platform for this. They'll be able to help with things like, looking at your strengths, areas where you may be able to improve in terms of your career development. You'll find that you'll be able to, you'll be able to look at different skills and capabilities that you might be interested in working with a mentor on, and learning new skills, learning new capabilities. And also, once you're on the platform, you'll have the opportunity to connect with different mentors and increase your network within the profession. So in terms of benefits for mentors, in terms of the experience and capability you have built up in your career as a mentor, you'll have a great opportunity to give some of that back to the profession. So the ability to support people who may be onboarding into the profession, looking at sort of like early stage career development. So you'll be able to pass on that experience. You'll also have the ability to improve, practice, enhance your coaching and mentoring skills, which are always in high demand. You will also, through the mentoring experience, hopefully gain new perspectives on your career. So the mentoring experience allows you, once you connect with a mentee and you're preparing for a first session, it allows you to think about what the mentee is hoping to achieve and reflect on your own career and start to think about, from your experience, what may be relevant to a mentee to help them progress. You'll certainly get the satisfaction of seeing people who you have supported develop in their career, overcome situational challenges they may be facing. And also, as a mentor, it is possible and likely that you will also learn new skills yourself. So the mentees who are on the platform, mentees on the program looking for support, they may be fresh out of university, new to a career, different ways of doing things. So it's good as a mentor to be open and to think about how a mentee might approach something, new ways of doing things. And also as a mentor, you have the same ability to connect, widen your network through the mentoring program. So that's just an introduction to the mentoring program. I'll now pass back to Bernard, who will introduce the next section.
Thank you so much, Chris. And we'll now move on to the panel discussion. I think we're just about bang on time. This is good. And welcome to Rebecca, to Graham, and to David. Just remember again, we're saving your questions for the live Q&A at the end of the panel discussion. And remember, these can be submitted through the Q&A box at the top of your screen. So we'll kick off. I'm really interested in in chatting to Rebecca, Graham, and David. And if I may kick off with you, Rebecca, please tell us a little bit, if you would, what motivated you to sign up as a mentee on the ICAS Mentoring Program?
Sure. So I just heard they launched in February 2022. So I think I must have been one of the first hot off the press there to sign up. So I started my own business in 2022. And so recognizing that I'd be losing kind of the support of a big firm and line management, I really wanted to sign up just to have a bit of guidance through that transition from kind of employee to business owner. So that was a big driver for me signing up.
Excellent. I couldn't agree more. I was told a few years ago myself by a experienced non-exec director who advised both chairman and CEOs. Everyone needs encouragement. It doesn't matter what part of the journey you're on within your career as an ICAS member. So there may be a fork in the road where you decide to set up your own business, and so everyone needs encouragement. I couldn't agree more, Rebecca. Can I pass now to Graham and just ask you, Graham, why have you become a mentor?
I guess it was, I had an urge to give something back. I'd had a kind of a varied, I guess, more checkered mentoring experience through my career. And I wanted to challenge myself to see what it was really like to mentor an accountant that I hadn't actually worked with before. And I have to be honest, I was a terrible mentee through my career until I leaned into that process a lot later in my career. And I'd also been mentoring some professional basketball players, and that had just come to an end. And I was kind of desperate to get those volunteer hours back out there because I get so much from that volunteering process. So being a mentor with ICAS, it just felt right. Really right thing for me to do right now. And I feel I'm really well placed now to sort of offer support around career challenges, help people make business decisions, especially with new startup businesses that Rebecca's now running. So, and it was also a professional development opportunity to grow my network and try out some coaching techniques. So ultimately, it was also a lovely way for me to reconnect with ICAS, given I'd kind of not been an accountant for a while. ICAS had kind of come a distant thing, but it's been a lovely way to get back into connecting with ICAS.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was in the ICAS wilderness for about 20 years before I got hooked back onto the local area network group. And there's a hell of a lot going on with ICAS, much more so than 10 or 15 years ago. So it's a great time to be networking and getting involved and even participating in webinars such as these. David, can I also ask a similar question to yourself? What was it that Graham's talked about, that point in time where he felt he could become a better mentor by getting involved in the program? What was it that motivated you to sign up?
Yeah, well, I was really fortunate to be mentored through a similar program about probably 6 or 7 years ago from a ICAS accountant, and I benefited so much from that when I was a bit more further through my career, I thought I wanted to give something back and hopefully give someone else that great experience of being mentored. And also, I've had a lot of experience across a load of different organizations and different roles, so thought that there's a great chance, especially with someone earlier in their career, to help them think through what they enjoyed, what they might be interested in, and open eyes and horizons that maybe I didn't have that shown to me earlier on in my career. So yeah, it was a really great chance to give back and engage with someone else, and yeah, hopefully support someone else early on in their career.
Thank you, David. Well, the message so far coming through to me is being a mentee and a mentor is a win-win for both. We're both sides are developing their skills. And can I also throw into the pot that remember that if any of you listening, or indeed any of the panel members, have got CPD to record, being a mentor or mentee qualifies in my book as part of your CPD. So please remember that if you want to make that task a bit easier. Now, Rebecca, taking your story forward, and this is not meant to be a report card for Graham Little. What is the most value that you've had from the mentoring relationship?
Sure. I think for me, it's just having that space outside the sort of, craziness of our lives and careers to actually reflect on lessons. And one thing Graham really drummed into me is to actually stop and celebrate the success as well. So we can be quite, it's quite easy to kind of beat ourselves up about where things didn't go well, but it's really taught me to actually stop and be like, oh, that went well. Why did it go well? And how can I make sure it goes well again in the future? So as a business owner, it gave me that sort of structure of where I want to focus my attention. And I also think there's just huge benefit in having, and if you're in employment as well, having that relationship, that coaching or mentoring relationship away from the confines of your organization. Because in work, people are always going to have the interests of the company somewhere in that room. Whereas when you have that independent external relationship, you can quite freely sort of discuss what you want and what you might want to achieve without worrying what's my boss thinking or what's this person in front of me. So it's just that really nice objective view on things. And yeah, it's been just so valuable to me to even this week I had a quick catch up with Graham because I was in crisis over something, and I just needed to talk to someone about it and just how it had gone and stuff. So for me, it's just that sounding board and taking stock a little bit and making that time for yourself to actually, reflect on what's gone well and maybe what hasn't gone so well.
Yeah, good. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I, in my career, most of which was spent out with the profession, before this whole mentoring process became formalized, most of my mentor relationships were with either partners in firms or the chairman of the company I was working with. Mm-hmm. And it was quite claustrophobic in a way.
Yeah.
Because there was a limit to what you could share. So to me this is one of the great benefits of that sort of stepping outside the box and having a relationship. So it's that's really important. And Graham, just coming back to you, with being as objective as you can, what support were you able to provide, do you feel, to Rebecca as your mentee, if you were to name sort of one or two key points?
I guess I'm going to try and boil it down to three things. There was the empowering and encouraging change. Rebecca's already mentioned the sort of shift from being that employee to business. So it was kind of a lens shift that was delivered by herself, actually, but I think it was given the space to think through some of the challenges that was coming, and that was just such a lovely, valuable transition that was made. Even with the challenge we talked about this week, you could see the shift that had happened, where it was thinking of it in a different way, which was lovely. I guess the other thing was around the focus and clarity. I think there was a lot of talk about business plan regularly, but it's always those ideas and challenges that come up and giving that sort of crafting a way forward in an appropriate manner and dealing with them as opportunities. And again, that was just, it's about getting the right focus, which was happening quite a lot. And I think the final one, which was just, I think in January, accessing, I think it was 3 accountants I've known sort of in the last 2-3 years who are at different stages of running their own accountancy business in different ways. And I think the feedback was absolutely wonderful about the way Rebecca was going about the business. And I guess that was a big confidence boost for Rebecca. And I think it's opening up that network to other individuals is really empowering, really powerful.
That's terrific. So what I'm taking out of that is being affirmative, but also being prepared to challenge as well. And actually, in a way, teasing out what the mentee kind of inherently might know already, but being able to tease that out and affirm it, because so much of this is about affirmation and encouragement, in my view. David, if I may come to you again, have you, this is a hell of a question, have you ever had any feelings of imposter syndrome, either throughout your career or when you were thinking about becoming a mentor?
All the time. I had, in particular, I had a job early on in my career where I was the main finance person and probably didn't really know what I was doing that much there, blagging it along the way a lot of the time, but definitely felt like I was the imposter in the room a lot of the time, trying to work it out as we went along. Moving to larger organizations, it was useful to see a bit more where I was and have those sort of structures around me, but even now I still feel like I'm blagging it a lot of the time as I'm meandering my way through my career. On mentoring itself, I did wonder whether anyone would actually be interested in being mentored by me. I'm not particularly senior or had much experience in bigger roles, so I sort of maybe thought for that time that people would only want sort of CFOs or people who run their own businesses and things like that. So I was not probably more in hope than expectation on the platform for a while. But at the same time, I have done a lot of different roles sort of across the breadth of finance. So I've done in practice in management accounts, financial accounting, FP&A modeling and things like that, and across loads of different organizations. So I did think there was something to be gained from that, from my background and experience and my reflections on it for a mentee. So that sort of encouraged me to still go for it, put myself on, and yeah, we ended up with a really good mentoring relationship over last summer.
That's terrific. I mean, when you're in the thick of, you know, the career path and work experience, sometimes you just don't realize the experience you're getting, either through a project or a particular role over a period of time. And it's only when you come out the other end of it that you realize that you're a stronger person. And I think it's fabulous that you can share it. Everyone is in a position to give encouragement on the journey and to receive encouragement. So well done to you, David, for actually, despite having those inhibitions, for getting stuck in. So really great. So Rebecca, you're next on the loop. Would you say there, you know, in terms of acquiring skills through your journey, has your mentor helped you to acquire new skills through the discussions you've had?
Yeah, definitely. So when you go onto the platform, your mentor will have skills that they, you know, are confident discussing, or, you know, that have come from their career. So I knew going into business that a big gap in my skill set was in sort of around marketing and sales. So that had always been in the back of my mind going into this. And that's actually the nice thing I've found with mentoring is, you know, your mentor will actually give you advice. I know with some coaching relationships, it's not really like that, but Graham had quite a strong background in that areas, and I just really struggled with it, and yeah, really struggled. So yeah, we did a lot of work, quite focused discussions around specifically sales and marketing, and you know, helping me actually meet my goals to go out and sell and get new clients and generate revenue. So huge, huge skills taken from the mentoring relationship, and stuff that I'm still every day implementing, things that we discussed at the time. And you're held to account a little bit as well. It's, I'd come back the next month, he'd go, because I always struggled with not being very opportunistic, you know, and he'd go, did you go and ring that person? Did you have that conversation? So it was the skills, and also did you actually go and do what you said you were going to do? So it was, yeah, the timing for me was absolutely perfect, because it was just when I really needed to go and sell.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the gift of the gab only gets you so far, but absolute organisation. I used to work in a previous life for Marsh, which is a big insurance business, and one of the best sales guys they ever had said, phone a client, phone a prospect every day. Yeah. And that sounds like a daunting task, but actually when you break it down, it's doable. And the prospect might be a contact, a network person, somebody not a client. And these simple things that somebody tells you 25 years ago, those jewels just stick with you. And it's true. And I can tell you, as someone who's been a mop and brush salesman for 35 years, those simple disciplines are absolutely critical. So that's a good one. Graham, back to you. What do you see as the key to being a successful mentor, and how does it support your own personal and career development?
I think from a personal point of view, success is, as a mentor, and it is personal, is being present, and it is turning up to focus on what's important to the mentee. That kind of is the number one for me. Secondly, it's that really listening, that skill of that competency of being able to truly listen, and then when appropriate, throw in that wonderful, powerful question. And then it's being that catalyst, to the mentees, their version of success, not yours, their version of success, which can be quite difficult to define often. And then positively reflect. And after every session that I do, I sit back and say, well, what went well? And that lovely challenging question of what could be better the next time that we meet. I always hate that question, but it really brings out a hell of a lot in terms of your own personal development. And I think the last thing to be successful is have some fun where it's appropriate. Enjoy the process. Be personable in terms of what you're trying to do. From a career development point of view, I guess mentoring allows me to improve my own strengths. It allows me to work on techniques in a safe environment. So Rebecca has received probably some odd and wonderful techniques that I've been trying out just to see how they work out, and then I can reflect on those. It's also a great way to learn about other people's views and aspects of how business should operate or how your career should run, because I've got my views, but it's always wonderful to learn about how other people perceive the business world and the career world. And I think I kind of mentioned it already. I find listening is one of those key skills, I think, that allows you to be an effective coach, an effective mentor, an authentic leader. And I reflect back on my own career when I was more of a consultant. I know I didn't listen, but now I'm learning to. And as a professional coach, it's something you work on daily to always improve. So that's kind of my view on what a successful mentor should be like in your career development.
Thank you, Graham. I think that my takeaway from just those last few words is the mentor-mentee meetings have got to be progressive. It's not just same old. How's the last month been for you? And just sort of, going over old ground again. There's got to be, right, today we're moving forward to talk about these things. And certainly from talking to the ICAS mentoring team, that's where the meetings are successful, and the relationship is successful going forward. That is always progressive. David, if I may ask you, what would you say has been the biggest benefit or takeaway that you've gained from being a mentor, and how again has it impacted positively on your own career development?
I've really liked the opportunity that I had through it to reflect on my own career to date, thinking through what I found enjoyable and thinking through as well everything I've learned along the way. So my mentee was very early in their career and had big questions on the area of accounting that they wanted to working, and being able to think that through helped me sort of clarify my own career thoughts and reflect on all the different things I've done and what I've picked up from each of those jobs and roles that I've done. And it was also showing that I was able to provide some help and guidance to them, that there are things I could contribute and help, not just in that sort of big picture thinking things, but actually we had a lot of talk about sort of financial modelling and planning and things like that, and sort of to be passing on some of my learnings and thoughts on that was really helpful. And it was just really rewarding because my mentee then went for a job in sort of financial modelling and planning and things like that, and managed to get it partly through, they said, through what we've been talking about in our sessions and what we've been sort of discussing and thinking through ourselves. So yeah, I think probably their development was more impacted than mine, but I had a lot of positive reflection on where I've come and sort of everything I've picked up and learned along the way.
Can I just ask a follow-up to that, David? When you're talking to the mentee about, coming to a fork in the road in their career, how do you think you need a number of meetings to get to know them to be able to make such a recommendation or to affirm an idea that they've got?
Yeah, so it was over a number of sessions that we sort of introduced, talked about where we were at in our respective careers, what we enjoyed, what were the sort of the pros and cons of different choices and options as we went through. So it wasn't me saying like, oh, I love this, therefore you must do this. It's what do you enjoy? How does this fit with this sort of role? Where do you want to go with it? So yeah, it took us sort of a few sessions to work that out, but yeah, didn't want to be completely leading just the way my career had panned out in the sort of area I want to be. It was, well, I know all these different areas. I know what it takes a bit to do what you're interested in. So let's work on, if you are interested, let's like really feel that out and push it and see that you've got the real interest and passion for that if you want to progress with it.
Okay. And now I've just got a final question within this panel session. I'll ask, because obviously Rebecca and Graham are mentor, mentee, I'm going to ask Rebecca and then ask David, how often do you meet up with your mentor, Rebecca? And the forum for it, is it a mixture of in-person and virtual? Tell us a wee bit about how it works in practice.
So I'm based in Jersey, so we've done all of ours virtually just because travel. So I think to begin with, we met up monthly for maybe a period of 6 months, 4 months, something like that. And then we now kind of meet, we have stayed in touch and we sort of meet on a sort of, as and when. So, we met early this year to discuss the 2024 business plan. So it's a good time to meet and actually look at the year ahead. And again, like I said, this week I did have a chat with Graham just because, something had happened, and had a chat with him about that. So yeah, I think monthly worked really well for us and gave sort of enough time to go away and, carry out the actions we'd committed to, or I'd committed to, yeah.
Excellent. And David, what about you and your mentee?
So we were more short and sharp, I'd say. So we were sort of every 2 weeks for probably 2 or 3 months over last summer. Like with a real focus on the job and what like sort of career options and plans. And so we did everything virtually. So we were in Newcastle and London, the two of us. So everything on the phone or Teams. But then since then, I've sort of been messaging, checking in how it's going in the new job and like anything I can help and support with. So, but it all seems to be going well so far. So it's all positive.
Yeah, good. Just if I may, from my own perspective, my mentee is in the ICAS Foundation. So it's a bit different because having a mentor is part of the deal, that if you're supported by the ICAS Foundation, you've got to meet with your mentor on a set number of times, basically once a month, as part of the support arrangement. But it's a very positive experience, and particularly mentoring a young person, especially as I'm fractionally nearer the end of my career than the beginning, to see them grow in confidence just from an early stage of the journey. And that's only been about 1.5 years now, but it's good to see the person growing and developing in terms of confidence and a sense of direction, which is good. So thank you so much to the panel, just for your candor and the detail that you went into, which I'm sure our attendees will much appreciate, and hopefully have already taken something from that. If I may, just ask the technical guys in the ICAS team to open this up now to our audience Q&A. Can we do that, folks? So what's going to happen is we're going to, if we have any questions, if we're still waiting for some questions to pipe through, I have some questions that I'd like to ask, which actually came through the registration process, and So while we're waiting for some questions to come through the Q&A chat, Q&A box, I'm going to ask a couple of questions that came in at the point of registration. First one, and I'll ask each of you this, so we might as well do the same order. Rebecca, Graham and David, what would you say to other CAs who are unsure about either becoming a mentor or a mentee, in terms of either do they need it, or are they qualified to do it as a mentor? Rebecca, could we start with your thoughts there?
Sure, yeah. So on the sort of mentee side, I echo what you said in the first place. I don't think there'd ever be a time that we can't benefit from, you know, at the very least a listening ear, but somebody much further down their career than you, or if you are thinking of having a change. So for me, it was moving into practice, into business. So, you know, that was a good time for me to reflect on my career. But I just think we're very lucky to have something like this. It's part of our membership. You know, what have you got to lose, really? I think we can all benefit from, and like I said, just being away from your place of work is so beneficial, because you can actually just, you know, like David was saying, explore those different options, think big, think of all the different things you might want to do in quite a safe space.
Good. Graham?
From a mentor's point of view, it's what you're waiting for. I think it's just a wonderful opportunity to give back in terms of your knowledge and your experience, and providing that thinking space for an individual to develop. You'll develop as well during the process. So I think great opportunity for personal development in terms of learning about yourself as an individual, and finding out those wonderful, rare and valuable skills from yourself. You know, what's different about you. Building a network, I mean, it's just fabulous from that point of view, getting back to ICAS, and I'll reiterate that, learning the new experiences of what somebody else thinks about. So when Rebecca and I have been talking, I've been taking away ideas that she's mentioned, and exploring them a bit further. And it is that business understanding. It's great from that point of view. And I guess I can give you a little bit of a mentee point of view. I was a terrible mentee. I was one of those people who said, I don't need a mentor. It was a bit ridiculous. I desperately needed somebody to talk to at the early stages of my career. And if you get the right person, it's so empowering, and it can really move issues and challenges. And my gut feel, I may have moved jobs earlier, I may have done things differently if I just had somebody to talk to at that moment, rather than kind of hide away or to be too proud to talk to somebody about the issues I had.
Thanks, Graham. David?
Yeah, I just echo everything else everyone else has said, really. Go for it. I think there's so much to be gained from being a mentee or a mentor. So I think when I was a mentee, just having that person who was outside the situation, who could give that sort of critical eye, but then supportive shoulder to cry on at times and things like that, was so useful. And being a mentor has just been a great opportunity to support someone, give back. It's a great network that we can be part of and support. So it's a great chance for me to think through what I've done already, and it's developed me so much, thinking all this through, that I don't want to get going on the next one, really.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm delighted to welcome back Chris Murray from PLD Mentoring into the discussion. And a question that came in for you, Chris, was what are your suggested formats for meetings in a broad sense between in-person teams and suggested frequency and time commitments, Chris?
Thanks, Bernard. My own inputs on that would be, in terms of the mentoring process, once you connect as a mentee and a mentor, it's using really the first conversation you have to come to an agreement around that. My sort of like advice when you meet for the first time as mentee and mentor is to try and maybe keep that first meeting a little bit informal, try and get to know each other. And it's at that point that you'll start to understand what you can, as a mentor, what you can help the mentee with, in terms of your own experience and skill sets. Understand what type of goals the mentee is trying to achieve. And it's then you find a few other things, that you can run through. That's just in terms of, as Graham, David, and Rebecca have said, you'll then understand what availability you have. So when you know what type of goal the mentee is trying to achieve, what time you have availability wise, will sort of determine the length of the engagement. So the thing about the platform is, I suppose, and the program is, you don't need to worry about committing to a very, very long mentoring relationship. There may be something you're looking for in terms of advice and support that could be quite short and sharp, could be preparing for an interview or an employment opportunity. And then there may be, again, dependent on availability, longer term mentoring opportunities that could last 6 to 9 months. And it's important to understand what you can commit to, how much time you have available on a weekly, monthly basis, as to whether a goal can be achieved, let's say, over a month, or it can be over a 6-7 month period. So I put that into the first conversation and contract around that. Be very clear around your availability, how long you think you can support the mentoring relationship for. In terms of form, in terms of how you conduct the relationship, that's very much up to you. One of the benefits of joining the program is it gives scale. So as Rebecca and Graham have mentioned, they're in 2 very disparate locations, but a very good match for each other. You're not going to be able to meet on a regular basis, face to face, but the tools we all have available to us now, in terms of the virtual tools, Teams, Zoom, you can quite easily conduct those relationships. But again, on the platform and the program, you can identify where people are based. So if you have a preference for a face-to-face meeting, you can express that when you send requests, and you can obviously look for people who are close to you in terms of location.
That's terrific. Thank you very much, Chris. I'm going to now just raise a question that's come up from one of our attendees, and I'll put it to Chris first. But if anyone else wants to join to come in, please let us know. Are there any tips for ending a mentee relationship that isn't going according to plan?
Yeah, I mean, my first tip would be honest with each other. If you've realised that you've connected, you've had a first conversation, and you weren't the match you expected to be. So, as a mentee, you soon realise that the mentor won't be able to help you with the things you're looking to develop. Just be honest. And it's a really easy process as well in terms of the program. If you both come to that conclusion, you can just withdraw. So as a mentee, you can just withdraw from the relationship. It's nice to give a reason so that ICAS can just keep a track in terms of why people have maybe connected and then withdrawn early. But from a mentee perspective, you just then go back onto the platform and search connect with another mentor. But yeah, I mean, just be honest. Just come to that conclusion sooner rather than later. Come out to that relationship and join another.
Thank you very much, Chris. I've got another question coming in, so I do want to give time for those. And this question, I'll just call it up again. It's how do you get the balance right between advising and mentoring someone? Could I start there with Graham?
I guess the balance there is reminding yourself the reason you're there. So for me, it's quite clear that I'm not there to advise. I'm there to kind of assist Rebecca in terms of opening up her own thinking, experiencing, challenging herself with me challenging her. So I'm very clear on the process. Having been a consultant for 15 years, I enjoy the fact that I'm not providing solutions. It's really wonderful for me to not have to come up with how to do something. And Rebecca's got her own strengths, her own skills, her own way of doing things. So that's where you encourage those. So for me, it's very black and white for me. There is no grey here. I don't advise. I mentor.
Okay, Rebecca, you'll know when you're getting advice because he'll send you a fee note probably afterwards. David, could I ask you the same question about getting that balance between advice and mentoring?
Yeah, I think I found that a bit harder to get that differentiation, because working with someone who's quite early in their career is trying to advise what different roles look like and what the options could be was probably part of the mentoring process and thinking things through. So, but it was trying not to push that, oh, I've enjoyed this and not enjoyed that, therefore you should follow this path. It's like, well, what are the pros and cons about each one? Where will it end up? What will you do in each of those type of roles if you do pursue it, and let them come up with their answer rather than you saying this is the answer, because obviously your skill set lies in XYZ, so you need to do ABC.
Okay. There's another question. I'll just keep rattling through them if I may, guys, so that we get as many as possible. I think this is a good one for Rebecca to start us off with. I'm in the middle of my career at the moment. I would like to help out as a mentor, but I would also like to be a mentee. Can I do both? And Chris, if you could come in after Rebecca, please.
Yeah, so next on my to-do list is to sign up as a mentor now that I've benefited from so yes, I think so. And it's, I've had a long corporate career before I've gone into business, so I really appreciated some mentoring specifically around going into business, but I would absolutely be able to provide somebody earlier in their career, hopefully a really positive experience as a mentor, and maybe more in the corporate world where I can guide them through or apply my experience there. So absolutely, I think we can, and also for me, I've taken from this process and now I want to give something back. It's been hugely beneficial for me. So the natural thing for me to do now is to, pay the gift on and go back and do the same. So I think absolutely we should all be looking at it from both angles if we can and we want to. And
good. Well, Chris, what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing I'd say in terms of the program is you can be both roles, so it's you can be both roles at once, and across platforms, lots of people are, and just a couple of things on that. From the mentor point of view, so just playing off what Rebecca was saying, I think sometimes you'd be surprised as a mentor, you're both roles on the platform. I think you'd be surprised at what value you can give as a mentor, even if you're sort of like early in your career, or you're early, as Rebecca is, maybe in terms of starting a business, because sometimes you've got the best advice to give and support to give as a mentor. People who maybe are a couple of years into the job market or into practice will have very relevant and recent experience as a mentor that they can pass on. In Rebecca's case, you're early into starting a business, you're going to have a great view in terms of the challenges people may face in starting a business. And I started out in business 12 years ago. I might struggle to think back to some of the challenges I faced then, because you face different challenges at different points of your career. So my view would be, if you're interested in mentoring at whatever stage, I think it would be you would be able to give good support to a mentee, and yeah, the platform affords you to be both roles on the program.
Thank you. Can I throw in a question, Chris? It was really off your PowerPoint presentation. We've got 177 mentees and 140 mentors, and we've got 97 live relationships. Is that an indication of the rigor of the matching process, or do we have quite a kind of list of people waiting to get involved?
As what you'll find, but you'll find people across that sort of mentoring base. Some mentors may be supporting more than one mentee, so there's not a classic sort of one person to one person. You'll find some mentors, they may have restricted availability on the platform, so they may have had to come out of the platform, and they might be going through a busy time at work, or one relationship is enough for them. So you'll, in terms of availability on the platform, when you search on the platform, what you'll be presented with are the mentors who are available to take your specific support requirements. So the way the platform works and the way the matching works is the choices that you make on the platform are going to bring back the most appropriate mentors for you in rank order.
Okay, thank you. I've got another question coming in here. If I can ask, I'll start with Rebecca again. Do you think becoming a mentee is most useful at a key or turning point in your career, or can it be of genuine benefit in a general sense, regardless of whether you're comfortable in the job you're in or whatever? You could kick us off, Rebecca. Thanks.
Yeah. No, I think anytime. So as sort of me and Graham were saying earlier, like our relationship wasn't to discuss a specific thing. It wasn't like, we have these really set goals. It was just as a general sort of, that having that space to actually receive a bit of coaching. And it's something through my career I've always tried to have an active coaching relationship, and whether that's with someone within the organization but isn't my line manager, it's just somebody that I can reflect. Again, what have I done that week or month that went well or didn't go so well? Or, I just think, as we've said, there's never a bad time to just have that space to, either, yes, address a really specific, gap in your knowledge or decision you have to make, but actually just that space to look at your strengths and weaknesses and say, could even be, I don't like the way I'm reacting to things, or, I'm riddled with self-doubt, whatever it is that you just want to sit across from someone and, can't remember the term Graham used, but they'll try and draw that out of you a little bit and make you reflect on that. So no, for me, it's just something I've always tried to embed into my career.
Thank you. And just quickly, Graham and David, as mentors, could I ask you the same question for someone, a potential mentee? Is it best when it's a classic turning point or pivot of their career, or should they get into it as a general benefit? Graham first.
I'm a massive supporter of it being for general benefit, because that opportunity just to talk through what's going on with somebody who's absolutely independent of what's going on, for that sort of non-judgmental approach, no emotion in some respect too. I think it's just a wonderful way to talk through things that are going on, even if things are going well. It's a wonderful opportunity to reflect on those successes, because we just don't do that enough, I don't believe. So I think it works for both. When you need somebody just to talk to, always present, or you're going through a significant change, both have their merits.
Thank you. David?
Yeah, completely agree. I think it's great to, in those key moments, to have that opportunity to just bounce things off and help think things through. But I think along the way, you'll have, if you're in a steady, settled position or role, then having someone just to continue to bounce things off and think things through with is really beneficial. And I was thinking of this, it's like you don't know what might be a key turning point as you work through that relationship as well, because they might point out something in it that make you think, oh, what about this? And that can help you develop and change. So it turns into something key and transformative, even if you just wanted that extra person outside the situation to help you develop and reflect and grow in your career just where you're at.
Thank you. I'm going to sort of wrap up now. Questions come in for me. I don't know why it's for me, but it says, how does mentoring work effectively for senior leaders? And is there a role for mentoring at that stage of your career? So I think I'll first of all have to buy myself some Just for Men to get rid of these grey hairs. But how I would answer that is a phrase I used at the very start of our session today, which is everyone needs and deserves encouragement and support. And it doesn't matter where you are on your journey. Indeed, if you're in the senior management group of an organization, or you're actually running a small advisory practice, it can be a lonely place to be, because most of your reports are down the way, they're not up the way. And so in a way, very senior people can do with having someone at their shoulder just to say you're doing okay, or maybe you should change this, or even just give that word of experience, because that your mentor may well have come across a problem or an issue or a relationship problem that they have come across that in their career as well. So everyone needs and deserves encouragement, is what I would say. We're now getting heading towards 3 o'clock, so we are almost out of time. Apologies if we never got to your question today. If there's anything you'd like to ask, please get in touch with our member engagement team. The contact details will be shared in the post-event email that everyone will receive. And it would be great if you could leave us a rating in today's webinar. I think already there's been a 3-question poll has appeared on your screens. If you can try and complete it, that would be much appreciated. I'd like to personally thank our speakers for joining us this afternoon, Chris, Graham, David and Rebecca. Thanks so much for your insights. It's encouraging even just to hear your stories, and we really appreciate the time that you've given, and I'm sure our attendees feel the same. And if you'd like to sign up to the ICAS Mentoring platform, you can scan the QR code on your screens now. The ICAS events team will be sending a post-event email sharing the LinkedIn profiles of the speakers to allow you to connect easily, and the link for signing up to the ICAS program. So thanks again to our speakers. Thanks again to you, our attendees. I hope it's been helpful to you. And until the next time, all the best. Thank you.